As many of you know, when I was younger, I played Lego Batman. And yes, I absolutely loved Lego Batman. Another thing that I really liked was Star Wars. Now, growing up, I became obsessed with Star Wars and Batman. And one of the things I always wanted to be like was Bruce Wayne. But further than that, I looked up to a lot of different characters because I like Star Wars. All of the pilots in Star Wars I really looked up to. Luke Skywalker, he was a really good pilot and really cool individual, and I liked all the training that he did. I thought it was really cool, and the discipline that he had in his mind. Indiana Jones is another character. Basically a lot of random characters that I looked up to, but past that I took a lot from them. And I almost didn't even realize that I was doing this, but I was designing my life, and I was basing it off of all these different characters that I personally really looked up to. Now, I'm not going to become a Jedi because Jedis aren't real. You can't possibly become a Jedi. But what you can do is you can take a lot from these different characters, their character traits, their discipline, their hard work, their state of mind. And one thing that a lot of Jedi do is, every Jedi is a pilot, and they're all very good pilots. So that's one of the things that I wanted to do. I wanted to become a pilot. And so this kind of goes into designing your life and having a goal, having a plan for your life. A lot of people, they don't really do this, and they kind of drift through life thinking, yeah, I'll just see where my life takes me. But if you do that, your life is not really going to take you anywhere. You have to have a plan, and you have to act upon it. This goes past kind of like having a life design, but I'll go into that further in the video. Basically, life design is not just designing, the things you want, the career that you want, or materialistic things. It kind of goes into who you are as a person, and what you want to achieve. Being able to paint this picture at a young age of who you want to become and what you want to achieve makes it so much easier, because as a young individual, you have a lot of time and you have a lot of energy to pursue these things. So if you want to become someone like Bruce Wayne or Luke Skywalker, obviously it's not entirely possible to become these characters, right? But you can take different things from these characters and develop a mental picture of what you want your life to be like, where you want to live, what you want to have, what you want to do. And so for me, I've always wanted to be like Bruce Wayne. And I've said this so many times, but it helps you develop a plan, right? So you have this plan in your head of this great big house that you want to live in, and this great big boat. You want to have a nice plane. And you see that is the end goal. It's going to take you a long time to get there. This is the ultimate thing that you have planned. And then, since your life plan is here, you take a step back and you say, where am I going to be before I reach this goal, right? So I have a massive house, I have a plane, I have a yacht, I have all this stuff, I'm very muscular. Take a step back and, what's the step before that? Well, the step before that for me would be, building a successful business and flying as a pilot in an incredibly high paying job, using that time and that career to make lots of business connections, and taking all the money that I make from that career, because it's a well-paying career, and investing it into businesses, right? Investing it into myself and different businesses so that I can make the most amount of money possible, while also working on the side on businesses, and also working on developing my strength and my muscle. And then, there you have it. Okay, that's a step before becoming this insanely successful person. But I'm not at that step, right? So then I have to say, how do I get to that step? Well, really what I need to do is I'm in the stage where I need to learn, right? So I'm learning about business, and how do I do that? Well, I do that by trying to build a business and failing over and over, and learning from my mistakes and learning lots of different things. There's so many different things that go into making a business. I never knew this as a kid. But you take a step back and you say, I need to learn how to make a business to start off with, and also I need to learn how to become a pilot. I need to actually get into this career. And there's so many different steps along the way. At the top you have very successful multi-millionaire, perhaps billionaire, who has massive mansion and all these cars and jacks. And then before that, it's like I'm making a lot of money as a professional pilot and building up this business. And then the step before that, it's not necessarily where I am at now. It's more like building up my flight time, working very terrible flight jobs, flying a rickety old plane across the country for multiple hours, and making almost no money. And then before that, it's like working my butt off, studying, getting all these different licenses and degrees, and just trying to get it so that I can get that first job. And then that after the first job, then I get the better job and the better job, and then I make lots of money as a pilot. I invest all that money, and then millionaire, billionaire. And so you need to have this mental picture of the final goal. What's the final goal that you want to achieve in your life? And you can make it anything you want. You can make it super, super ridiculous. That's what I've done. I've made an absolutely ridiculous goal, but I feel like I'm well on my way to achieving it because I've made that goal and I've taken a step back and a step back and a step back and a step back until the part where I am at now. And this is actually something that I did a very long time ago, but I did it when I was a little kid. And obviously, kind of made this plan when I was in elementary school. I made a plot as a kid to get rich. And it always kind of involved, I'm going to be a CEO, I'm going to be a pilot, I'm going to make lots of money. Now, obviously, as a little kid in elementary school, I'm not going to do that. So at that part, it's like, what's the step? The step is just to work good on my grades, build up my grades, just live until the part where I'm in high school, and then study hard, and maybe I'll get into an aviation program, and then I'm in the aviation program, and then I study hard, and then okay, now I get a job, and so forth. So you should really just kind of have this big life. I can't remember what the topic was, but just have this big kind of life design. Like, you have to design your life. You can't just let it pass you by. And the way to design your life is by thinking of the absolute ideal thing that you want to achieve, and then stepping back and back until the part where you're at now. If you want to have big goals and big achievements, it's going to take a long time, and there's going to be many steps into achieving this. This is something that I was reading from John D. Rockefeller, the wealthiest man to ever live, is that he was just saying, it's just a step and a step and a step and a step and a step. And then eventually, you're absolutely, you're like the king of the world. But John D. Rockefeller, he started off as a poor kid with no father. His father left him, and he would work to just try to make enough money to eat. And then, he got a job as a bookmaker. And then he saved that money, and then he started his own business. And then after that, he had enough money to get into the oil refineries. And then, it's just step by step by step. It takes a long time. But if you don't have this ultimate goal, this ultimate picture, what's going to happen is you're not going to do anything really remarkable, and you're just going to let your own life pass you by. And what I mean by that is, it's really tempting as a young individual, especially somebody my age, to just go out and waste your time doing different things. It's lots of fun. I get it, because I want to go out and just mess around with people and have fun and, enjoy my 20s, I suppose, my younger 20s. Or a lot of the time I just want to sit here and play games or watch movies. And it's really hard to just lock yourself in your room for up to 18 hours a day and study or work on your company. And I'm not gonna front and lie and say like I actually spend 18 hours a day, because obviously I don't. Yesterday I was doing an hour on, an hour off of working, but yesterday was a Friday, and then Friday night I go to the gym, just like every night, so that I can be, this big guy. And so, if you don't have this massive big picture, you're not really going to understand what all these sacrifices that you're making are for, and you're not going to make the sacrifices, and so you're not going to get to that big ultimate goal of massive mansion, having my own private jet, and having a massive yacht. You're not going to get to that goal if you don't have that goal and you don't make that plan and you don't kind of sketch a draft of what you want to achieve in your life, because quite frankly, the amount of studying and the amount of effort that I'm doing, it's not worth it for the next step that I'm achieving. The next step is just getting a really bad job of just flying rickety old shacks across the country, quite frankly, for almost no pay. And it's going to be really sketchy, and it's not going to be something that I really enjoy doing. I mean, obviously, I like to enjoy every step of the process, but I'm not going to lie. The amount of effort and work that I'm putting in, if it was just for the next step, I wouldn't do it, and I wouldn't have the motivation to do it. And this goes the same for everything else that I'm doing in my life. You know, right now, what I'm doing is I'm literally just practicing talking, because I don't have time to edit and I don't have time to script or make a proper video, and I'm not getting any views, and it's really, what do you say? It's just unmotivating, and it really crushes you on the inside. And it would crush me on the inside, but it doesn't, because I know that right now I'm just practicing and the views don't matter. And, you know, if I get a hate comment or two, I really don't care, because it's not about what I'm doing now. It's about the future. And that's what I'm looking. I'm looking 10, 20, 30 years in the future. I'm not looking at right now. I don't care. This is just to keep my skills up while I study incredibly hard to achieve the next step, which is making enough money and just developing and increasing my flight time so that I can get a better job, and then, you know, using the money that I do make from this, you know, beginner entry level job, using that money to just invest in my YouTube, buy an editor, make, you know, buy somebody who does YouTube thumbnails and ideas to increase my view count and increase my following. And obviously, I'm going to lose a lot of money doing that, and it's not really going to be worth it in the short term. But in the long term, of course it's going to be worth it. Of course, because I have this bigger picture. I have this bigger purpose. And the things that I do right now, they don't really make sense to anybody else my age, because it seems like I'm being an idiot. I'm just wasting my time. But if you saw what I see in the plans that I have for myself, 20, 30, 40, even 50 years down the line, I have everything planned out. And so that's why the amount of work that I'm putting in makes perfect sense, and the amount of sacrifice, not going out, not playing games, not drinking, not doing anything like that. It makes perfect sense. So, you know, this is why it's so important to have an actual life design. And honestly, bro, make it completely unrealistic. Make it completely unreasonable. The further I go down, the further I realize that these things that I have, you know, dreaming in my head, they're completely possible. When I first sketched this draft, sort of this big picture of who I wanted to be, I didn't even think it was realistic. And my mind was telling me that it was stupid to think these things. But, you know, the further I go and, you know, looking at different pilot salaries and stuff, I'm thinking, that's a pretty good salary. And I'm not even going to be spending it. I'm going to be investing all of it. You know, imagine you have hundreds of thousands of dollars a year and you're not even spending it. You're just completely putting it into a business, and you're completely investing all of it. Just imagine what you could achieve. So if I can achieve that, if I can achieve the ideal pilot job where I'm making lots of money, then I can achieve the next step. So it's not that I'm seeing that this next step is possible, like this final step is possible. It's that I'm seeing the next step is possible. And if the next step is possible, all the steps are possible. If you guys like this video, basically I'm just yapping. I'm a professional yapper. But no, I have this YouTube channel. I'm kind of taking a break and not editing, not scripting, and I'm just yapping for the time being, because I have a lot on my plate, a lot to study. So if you like it, make sure to sub, comment, leave a like. And I also have a self-improvement Discord with like-minded young individuals looking to improve themselves. And I'm in there too if you want to talk to me. So, toodly-doo.